2 Indian origin women, when attacked within a short span, this is within weeks. Do these cases reflect random acts of violence? There is deeper socio-political fracture in modern day and age Britain. I'm again asking that question again here. Doctor, these Union Jacks are flying up like warning signs.
Well, currently Britain is deeply divided,
Yeah.
and this has been growing, especially after the killings that took place by Hamas in Israel some 2 years back. So we are regularly seeing the society being veering towards, let's say, for example,
Yeah, you're talking about
protest
anti-Semitism.
movements.
Doctor, I'm sorry to cut
Yeah,
you short here. Maccabi Tel Aviv is supposed to play their game against Aston Villa, which is again a club that's placed and staged in Birmingham. Just a couple of days back, there was a clear-cut order that Maccabi Tel Aviv fans are not allowed to come for their away match to Aston Villa. We all know how football is loved and revered in the United Kingdom. And then Keir Starmer comes out and says that's absolutely wrong. Let's not happen. Basically, the entire ground is a hot melting point where people can't really understand or keep their sentiments in place. My apologies for cutting you short. I thought the viewers should know that there's another football match, and again, over there as well, anti-Semitism and intolerance is breeding on the ground.
well, that's precisely the case, because I don't want to see this in isolation, but the society is falling apart in so many different ways. And what we're talking about this topic, we have talked about the justice system, the criminal justice system.
Yep.
And can you imagine that someone who was sort of arrested on charges of sexual assault on an underage girl was released, and there was a manhunt that took almost 24 hours to nab the person. So there is a psychosis, there's here psychosis on part of a specific segment of British people, that it is the asylum seekers, it is the hooligans from outside, perhaps the immigrants, who are responsible for creating the chaos that is happening in the society. And we have already talked about the free trade agreement. The economy is not doing that well, and when that happens, you have all sorts of people who sort of ride the bandwagon of finding the weakest link. That happened in Nazi Germany, isolating the Jews and the Holocaust and all the rest of it. So I won't go that far as to say that the Indian community or the British Asian community is going down that particular path. But there is a kind of palpable anger on part of the British community. And this has been compounded by the very fact that we have these grooming gangs in East Yorkshire and elsewhere,
Right.
who have been responsible for sort of fomenting that kind of frustration on part of the, let's say, for example, working class white population. So if we have these unfortunate incidences, horrific sexual violence against two Sikh women, perhaps that was a kind of soft target. Indians have always been the soft target, whether in United Kingdom or United States or wherever they are, in Australia as well. So I think we see the manifestation of that. So it is kind of projected.
How much of this rising
against
hostility, Doctor, is linked to the resurgence of the right-wing politics? We've seen Unite the Kingdom rally. We see what Reform UK does, essentially, what it tried to do in the recently held UK polls also in 2024. How much of this is linked to the resurgence of the right-wing politics?
Well, the right-wing politics and the violence that we are witnessing cannot be seen in isolation. In fact, the Reform Party has been talking about closing down all the doors, saying that even if we talk about the NHS that is being run by mostly non-white personnel, can still run without them. And he's sort of giving statistics. And Reform has got a very good portal in terms of putting a kind of Asian face to sort of be the voice for the working class white population. So the radical right in this country is also fomenting the tension that we have seen, and the social media, where you have these 30-second, 1 minute TikTok messages sort of targeting migrants, or sort of highlighting the culprits if they happen to be the non-whites, sort of fuels that specific anger. And as I said, the system is lacking in many ways. And we see that in terms of the prison services releasing someone by mistake, and then the whole country sort of being on overdrive, wanting to find out where this culprit is. So that kind of demonstrates the situation on the ground here.